what's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football. Welcome back to our Monday night live stream, the winning drive, the primetime edition of Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Pleased to be joined by another Lifetime Longhorn, the young prodigy C.J. Vogel, and our own coach, from high school football coach at Vernon, Capel, Brownwood, Belton, Rotan. Also played college football at Abilene Christian. Coached there as well. Was on the staff at University of Texas for multiple head football coaches. And these days you can catch his work. You see it right there on that nice new cap he's got, ShipleyRegis.com. What's going on, Coach? Coach Bob Shipley. What's up, Coach?
Oh, about 108 degrees out here in Abilene, Texas, baby.
Man, it's cooking all across Texas. Austin feel like that too. I mean, it's just too hot to be outside during the day, man. It's just that hot. So the guys out there getting some work in, yeah, DFW 108. I feel bad for all Texans these days, but don't worry, football season is coming. And you can deal with the heat as long as there's some football on. We'll talk plenty of football. Shout out to our sponsors. Shout out to Prize Picks. Shout out to Shields, Ethos, Advanced Pain Care, SeatGeek. We'll tell you more about them coming up a little bit later on. Steve Sarkisian did speak with the media, had a media availability. My man CJ, boots on the ground. He was there. We'll talk about what Sark had to say. And yes, he had something to say about Arch Manning, because Archie seems to be the big topic of conversation. So we'll get into it. But the show belongs to you. Whatever you guys want to talk about, throw it out there. Questions, comments. We'll try to address as many of them as we can. Super chats always jump to the front of the line. You can interrupt the show at any time. Boom, just throw a super chat out there. All right. Before we get into what Sark had to say, Coach, are you worried about Arch Manning in 2026?
I'm not.
That was a quick one.
He's been through the fire. I mean, the first of last season, the 25 season as compared to the second half, you know, I'm hoping he just picks up, you know, where he left off. But I don't know. I mean, you know, I have not watched him. I've just seen the video you guys have put up. I haven't seen what, you know, Texas football has released. I haven't seen him, but I just have a lot of confidence in him.
Yep. I'm with you. I feel the same way. And I'm not worried about Arch, but if Arch did not improve from last season, then yes, there's reason to be concerned if there wasn't development and improvement. My assumption is that he definitely will improve his overall skill set, but then the weapons around him will improve. So I am not on the bandwagon of the folks out there who are freaking out. We can get into it in depth. I do have a take on it about Arch and the Sark system. But I'll give you that take a little bit later on in the show. Let's talk about it. CJ, I'll ask you, are you starting to get worried? You've been around it. I mean, are you worried about what you're hearing about Arch?
You know, I'll be honest. I didn't love hearing that for 2 consecutive scrimmages. You know, things weren't very crisp. You know, I was hoping for a little bit more results. Look, you're a 4th-year quarterback, 2nd year starting. You have a stacked group of weapons. You know, I didn't love hearing for a 2nd consecutive scrimmage there were multiple turnovers. And, you know, there's some nuance to that where balls tipped, where guys running the right routes, who was in, do defenses know the plays, et cetera. But, you know, I think if you're a quarterback that is a transcendent talent, you should be winning some of these battles in practice. So that to me is, I mean, it's not a red flag, but it's not necessarily, you know, glowing green for me, right? I think there's some give and take, and, you know, I think it's serving a little bit to, you know, kind of temper expectations going into this season.
Hey, CJ, you made a great point. You go against those guys every day. You know, if you went against Ohio State's defense every day, you know, Oklahoma's defense every day, you know, you're going to lose the edge that you have. I think that's a really, really overlooking point to all of this. I mean, sometimes they get your audible, sometimes they pick up signals. I mean, it's and another thing about that is I hope that the defense will verbalize with the offense, hey man, you're tipping this off.
Yes.
I can tell by your stance, by your alignment, by the audible, by whatever, you're tipping this off, man. And of course they won't tell them right now because the defense wants to look good. You know, but at some point there needs to be some communication between those guys and say, hey man, what are we doing that's tipping you off? What is it that how are you getting a jump on this every time or whatever?
I love that. I love that, Coach. I've talked to plenty of guys because we just call them like they're like think tank sessions or study sessions in the locker room. Once you get in there, hey man, that red zone session, why did y'all change to play? What did you order to? What happened? What did you see? What did I do? Dan, those are invaluable. Those are lessons you learn to really help you refine your craft. So I agree with you, Coach. I think that's important. If the defense is winning the majority of these sessions where they're going good on good, then I hope they're letting them know exactly why. Like, hey, man, this is why, boom, boom, that kind of stuff. That helps you get better as a team. Totally agree. Sorry, go ahead, CJ.
No, I was going to say there's a lot of, the verbal keys. Obviously, Texas utilizes the multiple signs on the sideline with the four, corners, whatever the call is. One of those four or multiple of those four indicates, right, left, middle, whatever it is for the play design. But, you hear certain words and phrases as a defense. And, I know it's not the same, but I played offense and defense in high school, and you hear certain things this deep into camp, and you're like, wait, I know what that is. I know exactly what they're doing. And Rod, I bet you can attest to that, Coach. I'm sure you sat there and said, opposing coaches, opposing corners, opposing wide receivers know exactly what's to come based off of the pre-snap verbiage that they're using, right? So I think that's part of it. Sark talked a little about going up tempo, and I can only assume that when you look back at scrimmage number 1 and the interception on a screen pass to Hollywood Smothers that was thrown by Arch, picked off by Grayson Littleton. I mean, that's not getting picked off in a game. I'll be honest. I mean, come on. That's because he's either heard the call, he's seen the formation, or he completely understands what play's coming because he's seen it for 4 straight weeks, an entire summer, and 15 practices in the spring. So that's one thing for me to at least keep in my back pocket. But again, and putting the turnovers aside, just hearing from Sark, hey, efficiency's got to clean up, and kind of the sharpness of practice needs to clean up. I can attribute a little bit of that to the left side of the offensive line being dinged up, but ultimately I'd like to hear a cleaner day for Arch over the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. I would like him to be more consistent and cleaner, but I saw him play clean last year in the midst of chaos. Right. With the offensive line, being what it was last season, still him as the season progressed, he actually became a better game manager, and sack avoidance got even better for him, and his ability to take care of the football and decision making. So, yeah, I'm with you. I'd like to hear more consistency coming out, but I honestly think that even Sark had issues trying to figure out Arch last year. I think that part of this is Sark figuring out Arch, guys. Let's not act like that ain't the case. I know y'all don't want to hear that, but that's the truth. He didn't figure him out. He didn't know how to get his quarterback in the groove last year for the first half of the season.
Right.
Let's be honest. And that's not Sark's fault, by the way, because the issue is that Arch is not necessarily naturally naturally accurate in the quick game. And a big part of Sark's offense is quick game and screens, like the RPO. That's like 15% of Sark's offense, just ballparking. All right, quick game, another 15%. Screens are another 20%. That's 50% of the offense, and that's not naturally what Arch is good at. The ball placement that Quinn had on those screen passes, where you could give it to Jaden Blue in stride, and all he do is make one move and make a guy miss. That's not naturally what he does well. The quick game, look at him throwing slants. Slants, he's not really great throwing slants. Go look at him try to throw a slant. They haven't been great. That's not really his strength as a player. And those are also your glance routes on your RPOs. And he's not great at those. That's a big part. That's why his RPOs are always the screens to the outside.
Yeah.
Because he's better at that than throwing that quick little slant. But what he's magnificent at is the deep ball, the vertical stuff down the field, and then the intermediate stuff down the field. He's way above average. And his scrambling ability is amazing. It's averaging 10 yards per pop running the football scrambling. By the way, but those are not compatible with Sark's offense necessarily, right? Sark doesn't like you to be off script. Sark wants on script, on schedule. He just started recruiting quarterbacks that can run like that, all right, and move like Arch. So a lot of this is Sark trying to figure out how do I get my quarterback? When my quarterback is struggling, how'd you get Quinn in the groove? Easy, quick completions. Matter of fact, Sark calls his RPO throws. He calls them opportunity throws. Literally, opportunities for an easy completion. But your easy completions don't really exist with Arch because he's not great at the quick game and the RPO throws, but he's great in the vertical game, the intermediate, and the deep game. But that's risky. That's risk, especially when you have an offensive line that can't hold up. And another thing that also gets Arch in the groove is running the football. Well, that's also risky to have your quarterback out there running the football a lot, but it does get him in the groove. You have to admit it. He gets confident. When Arch starts running and losing his legs, it almost kind of gives him it like showcases X-Man ability, and it really settles him down. There are lots of quarterbacks like that. Josh Allen's like that. And in fact, Andrew Luck was like that. So I think Sark is struggling trying to figure out this kind of quarterback too, because he's unconventional and not really compatible with Sark's offense. That's my hot take for
it. I think you're dead on, Rod. And I think a lot of that starts with the first quarters of games, right? The start. And, it's almost like he has to reinvent who Arch will be in a single game based off of how the first quarter goes.
Boom. Yes.
Because I was looking through it, and I'll have a full report tomorrow or Wednesday on Texas football. But I'm going through every first quarter since 2023. And I was amazed, really. I guess I took it for granted just how many 100-plus yard passing quarters Quinn Ewers had in the first quarters of games. Now, the give and take between Quinn and Arch is Quinn on that opening script was very good, right? He would throw for 130 in the first quarter, 2 scores, and then quarters 2 and quarters 3, you'd look at him and be like, all right, well, there's the struggle bus. But for Arch, first quarters were pretty ugly, pretty consistently throughout the year. Yet, you'd see that really start to take form in the second half when, okay, I don't have my A game throwing the ball, but my legs are going to take up for it. And then I'll hit Cam Coleman or Ryan Wingo or something like that. So that's something that I've kind of taken part of. And then Rod, going back to, just the easy stuff. I think Quinn, again, was like basically a second baseman with the way that he would get the ball the first or second. It didn't matter if the footwork was there. It didn't matter what angle. If I could flip it underhand, I could flip it sideways. I could just throw it off balance. I look at Arch kind of as a third baseman, whereas like I need that kind of full crow hop to get the ball where it needs to go. And of course, it's going to go a long way. Yeah. But you ask him to turn 2, it might not be the prettiest given what we've seen in the quick game, Rod. So I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see if that evolves this year because it's a big piece of the offense. It's going to have to.
Yeah. And remember, that's why Sark started out last year chunking it deep, because Sark knows this, by the way, guys. Sark's a good football coach. He's smart. He knew Arch didn't get it. That's why he started out last year chunking it vertically. I'm going to go with the strength of Arch. Problem was your offensive line couldn't hold up. And then he didn't have a run game to rely on either. So then he just turned into a hero ball with Arch Manning. He was pretty damn good at that too. So I think you're right on the money there. And CJ, to back up your point before we move on. Arch's best quarter, third quarter. Listen to Arch's third quarter numbers. By the way, all of these are the best of any quarters. His third quarter numbers are the best of any of them. 74% completion percentage, 9.9 yards per attempt, 9 touchdowns, 1 interception, 186 passer rating, 38 first downs, 27 15 plus yard plays, 11 25 plus yard plays. His third quarter, he's cooking. And because I'm with you, Arch, I'm with you, CJ. I think that's when Arch starts saying, you know what? I got my legs into it now. I know what the defense is trying to do, what they're trying to figure out. And by then, I hate to say it, I think Sark by then had, in a lot of games, learned his run game wasn't going to help him much. Right. So he actually wanted to rely more on, all right, let's go downfield with Arch and let Arch do his thing. And it was. I love this comment here from Cisco. Quinn is by the book. Arch is the book. Yeah, I remember last year yelling in that Michigan game. I wonder what it was like a fourth down. I was like, what's going to be the play? What's going to be the play? Arch is the play. Arch is the damn play. Like I mean, Jeff always says, Arch is the identity of the offense. That was the problem last year. You didn't have an identity offensively. It was just Arch. All right. When Arch gonna make a play, that's the identity of the offense. That can't be the case.
Yeah.
This season. All right. Good stuff. All right. I think we gotta. Oh.
Hey. Bimo.
Oh. There we go. Woo! Look at him. All right, OTFA number 1 already in mid-season form. Woo! Said I got my black belt now. Congratulations, baby.
Come on.
Hey, let them haters know now. Don't mess with me, Morgan. You'll get yourself in trouble. He says, Coach Rod, TJ, talk to me. When will Arch show out, and when in the season, if you have to say, when will he show up? Ohio State, I hope. So yeah, the Ohio State thing is interesting because we know how Matt Patricia's going to try to play him now. I mean, he's going to take away I think he's going to concede some of the run game. That's what they did last year. They let Texas rush for 160 some yards in that game. Mm-hmm. But Arch never got in a groove. And I think that was brilliant because we didn't know what the identity of the offense was going to be. Turns out we just talked about it. Arch was the identity. And they took Arch out of his game, the verticality in his game. They took that away, forced Arch to have to beat you with quick, efficient throws. All right. Consistent, efficient, accurate throws down the field, but not vertical shots down the field. And I think it was, considering now, it looked like it was prophetic. Right, that the Matt Patricia could see that's the way you should defend Arch Manning. Just take away the deep ball, and then I think after that, a lot of teams tried to and really couldn't. But Texas, that was one of their best run games of the season, and they lost.
Crazy how it worked out.
It's crazy.
It's crazy because we left that game, Rod, and I think we had a conversation about it. It was like, oh, hey, offense didn't look good, right? But if they're able to run for 170 on Ohio State, they're going to be in for, competitive offense, right? They're going to be okay. Well, we soon found out after that wasn't the case.
Mm-hmm.
And Coach, you've talked about it. You want to face Ohio State week 1 this week or this year. Last year, I think if Texas saw them week 2, maybe it goes a little differently. But then again, Ohio State has that second week or that first week to get an idea of who they are, because Julian Sayin was very much treated like he had, the oven mitts on. They didn't allow him to do much either.
Well, I think the key to his success is going to be the offensive staff and Arch himself preparing from what happened, what Matt Patricia did to him last season, and what they will have answers for that. They will have counters for that. They've talked about it, I'm sure, the whole offseason, off and on. And so that's – and if Matt Patricia wants to get out of that and do something else, that's good. We can adjust on the fly. But having the targets that we have at receiver this year, having hopefully what's going to be more solid offensive line, I think you have a script in your game plan to counter what Matt Patricia did last year. I can't see, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I can't see him. He'll obviously have some new wrinkles and some stuff, but I can't see him just totally abandoning what he did last year to this Texas offense, because he was so successful keeping Arch out of his rhythm. And so, like I said, they planned for that. Hopefully they've practiced against that, and they have a plan for it. But I'm with you, Brandon. I've stuck my foot in my mouth so many times with this football team that it's hard to predict anything, But if it's going to happen, I'd love for it to happen against Ohio State.
Mm-hmm. That would be satisfying if Arch just shows out versus Ohio State. You wouldn't be able to stop the hype train if he just has a blowout blockbuster game versus Ohio State. All right, before we get back to other questions and super chats and Sark's media availability and some of his comments, let's thank our sponsors. Thank our friends over at Prize Picks. We appreciate our friends at Prize Picks. I'm doing it with the helmet on. That's right. That's how much I love Prize Picks, America's #1 sports picks app. And honestly, it's really simple. It's easy. I think that's why it's so popular for players picks. All you do is choose more or less on a few player stats and lock in your lineup. That's it. And if you're someone who likes picking teams instead of individual players, that's easy too. Prize Picks has you covered there as well. You can now pick the winner, the spread, or the total on games and even fights. Prize Picks is available in most states, including right here in the great state of Texas, California, and Florida as well. So chances are you can jump in right now. And a new feature, which I love, is that you can follow different users online. So if you like their picks, you can actually tell them with one click. And you can follow your friends' picks as well. And you probably control your friends, have a little fun there. But either way, Prize Picks adding new features to just make your experience that much more enjoyable. And right now, they're offering a great deal. Play your first $5 lineup, and if you win, you'll get $150 in bonus lineups. Just make sure to use the code HMA when you sign up. Use the code HMA. You play your first $5 lineup. If you win, you'll get $150 in bonus lineups. That's Prize Picks. Code HMA. Good luck, and as always, play smart, play responsibly, play Prize Picks. And while we're thanking sponsors, Let's also thank our friends over at Shields, because we're going to have a great partnership with them, actually a great event that they're going to have as well. So get ready, Austin and Longhorn fans, for the all-new Shields opening August 29th in Cedar Park. We're going to be out there. OTF will be represented. It's like nothing you've ever seen. Thousands and thousands of square feet packed with the best in sporting goods, hunting, fishing, camping, hiking, and all things sports. You don't want to miss this grand opening. It is going to be a blowout extravaganza. Try top brands, test out the latest gear, and get expert help from people who love sports as much as you do. Mark your calendar. August 29th, Cedar Park Shields, grand opening. Your next adventure starts here. They also have an exclusive Longhorn section, so you want to check that out. Matter of fact, I will check that. I'm always trying to collect really cool, unique Longhorn gear. So thank you to our friends over at Shields as well. All right. And also, thank you to our friend B. Morgan. Thank you for that super chat. And congratulations once again on getting that black belt. Man, been a while. All right. Getting back to the super chats. NTX Horns fan says, Coach, the first time my dad took me to Texas Stadium was Gainesville versus Burnett in 2003. Great game. Great players on both sides. Shout out. Thanks, NTX Horns fans.
Woo. Yeah. Jordan took the opening kickoff for a touchdown. We were, and then the first defensive stand, they went forward on 4th and 3 at midfield, and they had a big old 220-pound running back that cracked one of our linebackers' helmets, and Jordan and got tackled him to stop him on the 4th down play. We got the ball back, but Jordan unfortunately had a concussion and didn't know where he was the rest of the game.
Wow.
That was the game. It was cold. God, that wind was blowing through that stadium, through the tunnels, the openings, where you go in. Wow, it was a cold night, Saturday night, late. I think that we were the 4th game that day, or maybe the 3rd game.
What was it? Windy on the field? Is that a dumb question?
No, it really wasn't windy necessarily on the field. It was swirling a little bit, with that stadium, but it was the northern came in. It was unbelievably cold.
Coach, you said somebody broke a helmet? Did you say that?
Oh yeah.
Cracked it?
Cracked the helmet. Yeah.
Yeah,
that 10 degrees. He was a punisher, man. Yeah, he came up. His knee caught Jordan right under the jaw, just like a punch. Knocked him cold.
Wow. Dude. Yeah, Texas high school football ain't no joke, man. Thank you for that super chat, Texas. Justin, good to hear from you. Thank you for the super chat. Rod, do you have any chance to look back at any Blake Gideon's games last year at Georgia Tech? I'm curious to see how much Muschamp and PK were mixed in it and what kind of impact will Stoops have. Yeah, that Stoops one, I'll kind of work from the back to the front here. The Stoops one is interesting. I'm hoping that they're allowing Coach Stoops to work with the DBs a little bit, because that's his background. Before he became head coach, I mean, he was known for being one of the best defensive minds, and it was from the secondary. So I would love, and I know Muschamp works a lot with the secondary too. Muschamp works a lot with the safeties and nickels. So I would love for him to be working with. I don't know how. I really don't. CJ, do you know any specificity on what Coach Stoops is going to be working with, or what group he'll be working with the Longhorns?
No, not specifically. And it's interesting. It feels like Gideon and Stoops specifically arrives back in Austin just a year too late, right? When Texas needed that continuity in the back end, the way that PK handled the front seven, and then your pass game coordinator was relied upon to get that back end tied up. I could only imagine what a Gideon Stoops combination could have done a year ago with some of the pieces that Texas was working with Malik Muhammad and Taff and McDonald. That's something obviously we'll never figure out, but I don't have those questions anymore with Muschamp. I think this is going to be a full kind of Georgia Kirby 2.0 kind of defense when it comes to schematics, right? That is going to be Muschamp's DNA all over it, and I would be a little bit surprised if there was much more influence from elsewhere.
What was the defensive coach in 2024 that worked with the nickels? You remember this guy?
Yeah.
He left. He was on it for 1 year, but he was working exclusively with the nickels. It wasn't Matt. I forget his name.
He followed Choate, I believe, to Nevada.
Okay. Because to your point, it worked out really well in 2024.
Yep.
We basically just had, basically he was kind of just being like a Nichols coach, essentially. Scotty Hazen, thank you very much. I think you're right about that, Joe. Yep, you're right about that. Yeah, he did a good job. And just kind of, it's a 1 year thing. He came in, did a really good job, and then was out. But the secondary was much more, they were buttoned up for a lot of different reasons, but they seemed more buttoned up. And fewer coverage busts. Last year, you had coverage busts. You had assignment busts. You had mental errors in the secondary, lapses. That's why you gave up all those points in the 21 points in the fourth quarter versus Vanderbilt and versus Georgia. You wouldn't have given up that many points if they just forced them to have to beat you. They didn't just beat you. You beat yourself because you had mental errors. You just gave up easy touchdowns because you just had brain farts. That you cannot have in the secondary. You can get beat in the secondary all day. Getting beat, that's human. Everybody gets beat. All right. I need you to make more plays on the ball than you give up, but everybody gets beat. What we cannot have is just mental lapses where a guy just forgets where the hell he is and what his responsibility is in secondary. That's crazy. That happened way too often last season. But in 2024, I can remember like 4 or 5 in 2024 where a guy was just, I was like, oh, that was just a blown coverage. You had a bunch of them last year. You did not have a bunch of them in 2024.
Well, Rod, let me ask you this, because we led off the show talking about, are there concerns for Arch Manning? Where are you after 2 scrimmages? Sark mentioned communication in the back end today needs to improve, right? That's something that Texas continues to have to work on. Is that a concern that 12 days from kickoff, Sark cited that, hey, one of the touchdowns from Arch Manning to Emmett Mosley was actually the result of one corner playing one coverage and a safety playing another. Is that, that feels like something that should have been covered or at least cleaned up as much as possible. I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago, whenever the scheme was being involved or implemented. How concerned are you about that?
They'll play more man coverage, so you should have less of the need for guys to have to read routes and for guys to have eye discipline and switch concepts, switch routes, and switch releases. Because you're playing more man, it's like, I got that guy. Unless they're closely clustered together, then you play tango or banjo or whatever you want to do, your type of technique to defend the bunch or to defend the stack. So you should have less of that. But that's the beauty of 2024, right? You played less than 20% man coverage. You were mostly zone coverage, and that's where a lot of your coverage busts come from, is zone coverage, right? Whoa. OTFL, hold up, man. Hold up. Hold up. I don't even know. Hold up. Nobody questioned OTFL number 1. Nobody.
Price Pick's been doing Brandon right.
I don't know what's going on in the chat, but I will say nobody questioned your OTFAM number 1 status, man. Nobody questioned it, B. Morgan. And I know you're feeling good with the black belt, so thank you very much. God bless you. That's, oh, man.
That's amazing.
He said, I ain't the OTFAM number 1 for a reason. No one will shut me out or break me. Take that to the house. Yeah. Woo! I'll give it a Ric Flair woo on that one, Brandon. Come on, man. That's kind of love. See, I feel like now I've already sent you a care package, Brandon. Now I'm gonna find something else to send you, man. I'm gonna have to find something else special to send. I'm gonna get one of Coach Shipper's, get one of them nice clean hats he's got and put that in your care package, man. I'm gonna send you something else. I'm gonna do that for you. All right. I'm gonna work on it. I'm gonna gather something up here that looks valuable, and I'll send it to you, bro. That's too much. That's so much love. I feel like I gotta reciprocate. And we not only fans on here, so I can't do crazy stuff on here. I can just put my helmet on.
Right. I was about to say. I saw the super chat come in. I almost went tarps off.
That's what I'm saying. Hey, exactly. That's Jerry might do it. Jerry, you get Jerry too excited. Jerry start talking about getting in a bathtub of mayonnaise or something like that.
Well, Bobby and I jumped in the pool in Tampa.
Shirt off, CJ. That's what I'm saying. We cannot turn this into OnlyFans where you would give it dips and then demand and stuff like that. But can't tell you how much we appreciate OTF fan number 1. I said I gave you the nickname because I meant it. OTF fan number 1. I ain't joking.
Yeah, B-Mo.
All right, B Morgan. I ain't joking. I forgot my train of thought. I was on something and I totally forgot what it was. Real quick, because we want to go back to the other super chat talking about Blake Gideon, and we'll get back to Rocky P's too. And Brandon, if you got something you want to talk about, you can just ask it, and we'll make sure we answer it. since you've built up enough super chat cred, if you will, over time. You can just ask whatever you want, and we'll be sure to answer. All right, no doubt. But to the point about Blake Gideon and when he was at Georgia Tech. So I went and looked up his numbers. And thank you very much. This is Justin. Thank you very much. I went and looked up his numbers from 2025 as a defensive coordinator, try to compare them to 2024 Texas. And so I told you I'd get these to you, and I apologize for it taking so long. So they played man coverage about 25% of the time. So about a quarter of the time they were in man coverage. That was more than Texas played in 2024. So Blake Gideon prefers more man coverage. Not shocked that Muschamp, like, hey, I want somebody who prefers more man coverage. You go look at the breakdown. They were in cover 3 most of the time. That's something that was similar to Texas in 2024. Texas had one of the highest cover 3 rates in the country, close to 40%. You're at 39% cover 3 rate in 2024. Georgia Tech in 2025, they were at 34% cover 3 rate. So your top coverage was the same from 2024 to 2025 when he went to Georgia Tech. If you look at blitz rates, Georgia Tech, he had a higher blitz rate than Texas had under PK in 2024. Texas was almost at 24%. He was at over 32% blitz rate in 2025 at Georgia Tech. His simulated pressure rate was pretty close to what Texas was, around 22%. The stunt and twist, he stunted more, played more games up front. He was over almost 18%. Texas was at 13% stunt and twist rate. So in 2024, so he was more aggressive. He was more aggressive in terms of the ag indicators. He was a more aggressive defensive coordinator and preferred more aggressive kind of schemes. They had a 57% 5-man pressure rate. That was higher than Texas. So they like to get into the 5-man pressure. So I think that aligns with Muschamp. Now, Muschamp is more aggressive than even a Blake Gideon was. If you go look at his time, last time he was calling plays at South Carolina. But I just think that's what Sark wants, more aggressive, a more basically search and destroy defense rather than a read and react defense. And that's what he's going to get. That PK was too much read and react for him. He wants to search and destroy. And that's what Muschamp's defense is. All right. Yeah, man. Oh, no. I can't wait. I can't wait to watch the Muschamp. Now I'm hearing that they're like giving it to the offense too. I can't wait to see it. I'm not worried about the offense. The offense is going to be good because they're going to produce explosive plays. The question for the offense is this, Sark. You need to make sure your offense doesn't have a Shakespearean fatal flaw that it has had the last 3 years. That's your biggest issue. Last year, you're one of the most penalized teams in the country. 132nd in penalty yards per game. Year before that, in 2024, you were 130th in turnovers. You're one of the most turnover-prone teams in the country. That's crazy. And you still got to the Final Four. 2023, one of the worst red zone offenses in the country. Well, you're 90th and 120th in touchdown percentage in the red zone. And you still got to the Final Four. Think about what you could do if you're not one of the worst teams in the country in some of the most critical areas. Got to fix that. That's what you got to do. Your offense is going to be explosive. I know that. He's constructed that. But you cannot have something dragging your offense down into the gutter like you did last season, the season before that, and season before that. You got to lift your floor. Your floor is too damn low. And it's low because of undisciplined penalties, and it's low because you're bad in critical areas and critical moments. Red zone, short yardage, third down. All right. Sorry for preaching. Rocky P, what's up? Question: if you could guarantee Arch 40 touchdowns, but he would have 14 interceptions, do you take it? Great question, Coach. I want to hear your answer on this one.
No.
Emphatic.
Quick.
No, because I think the running back's going to take some pressure off of him. I think we're going to have more production from our running backs, more touchdowns from our running backs. 14 interceptions. That's not.
Oh, that's a good. CJ, how do you feel about it? 14?
I say no as well. We've talked so much. We've heard so much about the idea of protecting the football. Look, the touchdown numbers a year ago weren't great for Texas as an offense entirely, but they took care of the football, and that's what kept them in a lot of games. They probably should have lost the Kentucky game, right? You score 13 points in regulation on the road, probably lose that game, but they didn't put their defense in against the wall, right? They didn't basically turn the ball over and give Kentucky short fields. Same later in the season, right? There were plenty of opportunities that Mississippi State could have just shut the door. Yet they created takeaways. They found ways to score special teams. I would say protecting the football is too significant against this schedule. Trust the defense as much as you can, because defense and special teams over the last few years have been able to create points on their own.
He did say passing, 40 passing touchdowns to 14 interceptions does change it, because I figure he's going to run for 5 touchdowns at least, right?
Oh, at the very least.
Yeah, exactly. So you're talking about him getting close to 50 total touchdowns. That's a lot of touchdowns, man. So it is tempting, but I agree. The way you lose games is the turnovers. That's how you. I mean, Texas was top 5 in turnover margin this year, and that really did save their bacon and save them from being a team that could have been an 8-win team. He said, I'll take 74 passer rating, in the best Texas history was Colt 73. What? Is that real? No.
Wow.
Colt had the NCAA record at that time.
I'm saying I thought it was higher than that, honestly. I thought the number would be higher. That's yeah.
I didn't know that.
I want to meet y'all. I'm on here. Bring me on. I'm ready. Okay. All right. You know what? Hey, you know what, everyone? I'm gonna talk to the people. I'm gonna talk to the decision makers. You know what I mean? I'm gonna talk to the people that make decisions. How about that? We actually have thought. I'll just say, I don't know if I'm giving to. We have thought about, and I think we experimented with it, because Matthew probably can tell me, with like doing like call-ins and like fans, like our own version of a call-in show. And we had it. I don't think technically, logistically, it was tough to do. But I would say Matthew tried it a couple of times.
Yeah, we gave it a go. Or we tried to. We had to ban Sandman's number first, and then we had to give it an idea of what was to come after that. I don't know. I hope we get to it, because I think it's fun, man. I think it's fun listening to callers and ideas. That would be fun.
No, I'm a radio guy. I'm an old school radio guy. I got in the radio when we were doing call-ins. Like, we would call in, post-game call-in shows was probably the most lit thing you could do. After Texas lost a game, oh man, it was wild on the Zone or the Horn, man. After Texas lost some football games, people would call in, they'd be lit, and we'd have the dump button ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
The Rod Feinbaum show. Hey, I wouldn't mind doing call-ins. You know, I love the people. I love hanging out with you. Yeah, we gotta have the delay though. Gotta have the tape delay. I love y'all, but I don't know if I trust y'all. That's all it is. All right, let's get to some more super chats. Thank you, Joe. We appreciate the super chat. It says, what was the tweet by Haywood Howard father regarding favoritism all about? Yeah, I saw that. I think I screenshotted it. I think he was just basically insinuating that behind the scenes that, and like I said, I don't know what's going on. I do not know any facts, that he felt like either they were disrespected somehow or felt like they were being dishonest with him about the way things were playing out.
Yeah. Look, I think every parent, especially parents of true freshmen, wants the very best for their kid. I also think that when you're a true freshman, and this is at every school in the country, what you hear during your recruitment might not be what actually shows up when you arrive on campus. And that's for a number of different reasons. So it's just looking out for his kid. I think that's it. I think there's been communication with Texas and the Howards. I don't think that it's anything super significant moving forward.
Yeah.
Well, that's what Matt Brown used to always say. You know, once you get them on campus, you got to de-recruit them. You know, because all you do is tell them what they want to hear. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, and what you think they're capable of. But you don't have a crystal ball. You can't see who's going to come in on the portal, you know, and all those things. And that makes it tougher and tougher on these young guys that were promised they'd get a shot. And then all of a sudden you get a couple of transfers in on the Doak Walker list, and things can change.
Or reclassifications, right? Because that's now a piece of the puzzle as well. So
yep.
You know, you never know.
That's what I think I just hit the nail on the head there, CJ. You're talking about, John Meredith reclassifying as a corner. I mean, he wasn't supposed to be a part of this conversation, and now is a part of the conversation, but not just a part of the conversation. He was the number one cornerback prospect in his class, reclassifying. So I'm sure that's a part of it too. That's a part that's got. I don't know how much of it, but that's got to be a part of it. Is that now they got this guy on campus, and I'm sure that there's only a certain amount of reps, and how coaches feel about you based on them reps, all right? Based on based on the communication from the coaches and what was said and what was promised. I don't know any of that. I'm just going off I'm sure that, he's not getting as much love rep-wise and snap-wise as he would like, period. And we know the cornerback position is pretty much at the top. It's settled. So only conversations are happening is second, third corners, right? And so he's not getting enough love there. But ain't no way they're upset about, what's happening at the top of that depth chart, the cornerback position, because that's been set for a while now, for a long time. All right, let's before we get back to more questions, let's thank a couple of sponsors, and then we'll dive back into the questions. Let's thank our friends over at Ethos. And listen, guys, I am now a family man, and I've one of the things that I don't really like thinking about, but I know I got to think about is what if something happens to me? All right, and what happens to my family in case something happens to me? And now that I have a baby girl, it's a big part of the stress that I have to deal with. And our friends at Ethos, they're here to help relieve you of some of that stress. Life insurance is one of those things nobody wants to talk about or think about. But once you got a family like me, and a lot of you out there got families as well, it becomes a whole different conversation. It's less about thinking about the worst case scenario and more about making sure your family has some financial security if something ever happens to you. So that's where Ethos comes in. Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy. It's 100% online. All right. You can get a quote in seconds. You apply in as little as 10 minutes, and there's no medical exam. All right. You just answer a few health questions online, really easy. And you can get up to $3 million in coverage. And some policies are as low as $30 a month. So it takes 10 minutes to get you covered today with life insurance through Ethos. And if you can get a free quote at ethos.com/on-Texas. That's ethos. All right. .com/on-Texas. That's ETHOS.com/on-Texas. Application times may vary. Rates may vary. Thank you very much to our friends over at Ethos. We appreciate them. And also, since we're thanking sponsors, let's also take a second to thank our friends over at Advanced Pain Care with a message for you.
Pros know the pain stops here.
Physical therapy helps me as an athlete then and now. And do I still need therapy? Yes. Advanced Pain Care helps with that.
Injuries will stack up. They'll add up. You can't let those injuries get you down, and Advanced Pain Care has been very helpful for me.
We can help with whatever's got you down, from nerve damage to our spinal cord stimulator. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Same-day appointments available.
Advanced Pain Care. The pain stops here.
All right. Thank you very much to our friends over at Advanced Pain Care. Doug says, Coach Shipley, how do you feel about ex-college athletes being granted restraining orders for a 5th year? Yeah, Coach. I mean, didn't LSU have the most recent one? There's a tight end that was like, I don't know, on the preseason roster for the Browns or something like that. And now he's going to be.
I think they signed 2 NFL guys in 2 days or something like that.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Coach. What are your thoughts? I want to know.
Somebody's got to take control of this thing. It's out of control. It's off the tracks, and honestly, you got to look at things in the long run. What are the long-term effects of this? Even in a season, that's shifting the depth chart. What's going on in that locker room? What's going on in those meeting rooms? I mean, some animosity, some things. I mean, it's it's tough to turn away a great player, but at the same time, kind of reminds me of Hoosiers. Remember, the guy got kicked out of the game, whatever. He goes, "My team's on the floor." This team's been through all offseason. They've been with us all summer. They've done everything we've asked them to do. They've been through 4 weeks of training camp. My team's on the field. I wish somebody could stand up and say that. I mean, of course, unless it was a different spanker.
Everybody wants the schools to do something, but the schools, they feel like they'll be at a competitive disadvantage if they don't at least, pursue inquire about these athletes that could improve their roster.
Yeah. I mean, what the SEC released a statement today, and in the statement it says college sports are for college athletes, and here we are continuing to allow school after school. LSU obviously being the biggest culprit of them all, and across multiple sports. They just were granted a TRO for RJ Luis, who was traded in the NBA about 4 months ago, and he's coming back to play for the Tigers this year. Again, LSU only has like 5 or 6 guys actually on their basketball roster at the moment. But the point being is they're showing a complete disregard and obviously just sidestepping whatever rules are in place by going and finding a Louisiana judge or whoever's in their backyard to grant this. And of course, we know kind of how the politics of Louisiana work. It's all about LSU and the sports and the success of those sports. So nothing's going to stop it, except for potentially the SEC and the NCAA, who currently obviously have no power against this. So I think it's gross. I think it's disgusting. I think, look, if you had your time in college, if you were good enough to play in the NFL or the NBA, go explore it. If you were not, hey, overseas, they got leagues.
They do.
You know, Enterprise is hiring. Go find a job.
No.
You had your chance.
No, I feel the same way, but I'm not going to judge them, because if I was in their position and they were like, hey, Robbie, my agent was like, hey, man, you could go back to college and they're going to pay you $250,000 just to go back there one more year and hang out. Hard for me to say no. But
what if you're the guy that loses his starting position your senior year?
I agree.
All these years for it,
No, totally agree with you, Coach. And that's why, but you know what? If you want to go to the league, that's what the NFL is. Get used to it. Get used to it.
It used to mean not for long, but now it's taken on a whole other meaning of not for long. I'm going back to college.
Yeah, exactly. No, like I said, if it was an option back in my day, I probably would have tried to attempt it too. All right. Another question. I think any other questions that we can get to? I think I'm having some technical difficulties. I don't know if you guys can see me or not.
That's a funny face you're making there, Rod. I don't know how you hold it for so long.
We'll get back to Rod here in a minute. But we do have this question from Paxton. We'll ask Rod whenever he gets back in. What do you want to see against Texas State? Coach, I'll ask you this because you've been on the side of both Texas and an opposing side of things where you might have a massive week 2 schedule or a massive week 3 game where, week 1 and week 2 don't require you to show a lot. How do you balance what you want to save versus what you do to make sure that your team, walks in with confidence and sees what you got to see out of them?
It's building that mentality and that culture of, whoever lines up on that field, we're gonna play at our level, no matter who it is. But that certainly is. They got 2,000-yard receivers coming back and a quarterback. It's a game that could be challenging if you're not ready to play and can show you some of your weaknesses really quick right off the bat. And you need all the momentum you can get going into Ohio State. But the only way Ohio State is going to be the game we all want it to be is if you take care of your business against Texas State.
Right.
And don't give them any room to breathe. You just have to suffocate them from the opening kickoff. And, a great player, I always told our team, a great player is going to play great no matter who he's lined up against. Mm-hmm. He's going to play great no matter what. I don't he plays really good in big games. Well, what about the other games? Mm-hmm. What about the other games? I want a guy that's going to play great. I don't care who you line up against. Mm-hmm. It's competition. Yep. I want guys that want to compete no matter what, and not guys that are cocky and want to kind of, play grab tail, as we used to say, and all that stuff, because we got Texas State this week, I want guys that, and I feel like we have that kind of team, but, sometimes you got to learn lessons the hard way. I remember when we went up to Nebraska and I thought, oh man, I'm not sure our Sark understands what it's like going up to Arkansas and playing. They have a hatred for us just like A&M and OU. Yeah, we just don't have it for them, and they embarrassed us.
That's right.
Yeah, that was a tough lesson immediately. In terms of what I want to see, and Rod, this will come out tomorrow on OTF. I think we're going to have a video on this at some point later this week. Dominance in the run game is something for me. And I think that starts immediately, right? I told you I was going through a lot of the first quarters over the last 3 years. Just looking back at a year ago, these are the rushing numbers Texas had in SEC play in the first quarters. 4 attempts for 15 yards, 6 attempts for 6 yards, 4 attempts for 10 yards, 8 attempts for 19 yards, 4 for 27. That was probably your best output. 8 for 35, 7 for 22, 6 for 20, 7 for 34. Now, I'm not expecting Texas to run for 150 yards in the first quarter of these games, right? These are SEC opponents. But I'd like to see more than, 2.5 yards per carry in a majority of these games. So against the Texas State, the same way you kind of left Ohio State and Columbus a year ago saying, hey, Texas might be able to run the football this year. I hope that's something that I'm able to leave DKR on September 5th saying, hey, the additions of Raleigh Brown and Hollywood Smothers, the emergence of a Derek Cooper, that shifted offensive line, they showed me something, right? There were running lanes there. I hope that's one of the biggest takeaways that I'm able to have leaving that game in 12 days.
Yeah, and I agree. And by the running backs, because Arch adds a boost to the running game and sometimes can make some of those numbers, even though obviously they are an indictment on the lack of potency in the run game, can actually boost those numbers a little bit. If you go look at running back touchdowns last year, you were 129th in the country. Rushing touchdowns by running backs, rushing yards by running backs, you're 103rd nationally. So to your point, it's got to be the running backs that actually are the focus of the running game. Because last year, I love Arch, his running ability. And I told you guys he was going to be an elite scrambler prior to the season starting last year. But I do not like the fact that he is arguably your most effective and most explosive runner. He is not Vince Young. And it should not be the case. And that was the case last season. So that's my big issue. So I agree with the running game. And Sark says that the running game is good. It was consistent, even in the scrimmage, that it was good. And we shall see. I think they're going to get back to kind of run the outside zone like they did before, too. All right, let's thank our last sponsor before we end tonight's live stream. Let's thank our friends over at SeatGeek. That's right, folks. SeatGeek, one of my favorite apps out there. If you need seats for any sporting event of any kind, our friends over at SeatGeek, they are the place to go. With over 35 million downloads, it is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports, festivals, and more. So no matter what season it is, you got the NFL season coming up, college football season coming up, of course. But no matter if it's baseball season or NBA, our friends over at SeatGeek, they have you covered there as well. So just make sure that you download that app and you can sit back and enjoy yourself and have access to the best opportunities to see your favorite teams or to see your favorite groups perform. And also, they're going to hook you up if you're OTF right now. If you are part of the OTF fam, use the code OTF10 for 10% off your next set of tickets over at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with the promo code OTF10. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. That's SeatGeek. Thank you very much to our friends over at SeatGeek. Remember, OTF10. That's the code you use. All right. Thank you guys very much. We appreciate all of your participation. Thank you for the super chats as well. Thank you to Jordan behind the scenes, who's actually tweaking the dials, doing a great job. Appreciate him. We always appreciate Matthew. He's the real MVP, of course, too. If we missed any of your questions, please direct them to the gentleman at Coffee and Football, bright and early tomorrow morning. Jerry Hamilton and Bobby Burton. They'll be starting up at 8:15 a.m. Also, tomorrow you'll have your Tuesday night live stream. CJ Vogel, along with Jeff Howe, will be on that one. They'll be starting promptly at 7 p.m. Also, great time for you to take advantage of a great special happening. If you want the best coverage of Texas football around, that's why Jordan is killing it. The best coverage of Texas football around right now is a great time. $3. All right, it's all it'll cost you for 3 months of coverage over at ontexasfootball.com. So limited time. So right now is the time to take advantage. Practice coverage, breaking news, complete team coverage, insider access, recruiting, ATL. You won't find a better deal than this. If you're a ball on the budget, you want to take advantage of this deal for pennies on the dollar. You can get the best coverage of Texas football around to start football season. All right. Thank you very much to Matthew behind the scenes. Thank you as well to Jordan as well. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate all of your wisdom and levity. CJ, great nuggets, great work as always. Also want to thank our sponsors. Thank you to Prize Picks. Thank you to Shields. Thank you to Ethos, Advanced Pain Care as well, and SeatGeek. We appreciate them. And also all the folks with the super chats. OTF fam #1 though. You've outdone yourself as you do all the time, and earn the nickname OTF fam #1. Real appreciate it. But also thank you to North Texas Horns fans, Rocky P, Justin, anybody I forgot. I apologize about that. But thank you guys for the super chats and everything. For Coach and for CJ and for Matthew and for Jordan and Lifetime Longhorn Ride Babies. Until next time, look,